EXU's enthusiasts, and welcome to the EXU Card of the Week archive. I am your host, Nightmare88, and in this show we will be taking a look at older Card of the Week cards and seeing how they shape up in the current metagame, as well as giving my thoughts on the cards and their playability in the current format. These cards will come in batches organized by overarching ideas behind the card. This week's theme is normal trap cards. These cards are powerful as they can be pseudo-searched with trap trick, and often have powerful utility effects. The first card in this Card of the Week archive is Torrential Fusion, a normal trap made by Sock, which, when a water monster or monsters you control are destroyed, say by the effect of Torrential Tribute, Fusion summons a water fusion monster using monsters from your hand or deck as material. The best targets for this card are, as far as I can tell, Muddragon of the Swamp, which allows you to foolish two monsters with the same attribute and different types and is protection, Cyber Hybrid, which is a mass foolish for machine monsters, 4 or more machine monsters, and gain 750 attack per material. You have Egyptian God Slime, Egyptian Phoenix Slime, and Egyptian Dragon Slime, which take an Aqua monster and a level 10 or higher water monster and provide bonuses to an Egyptian God strategy should you want to take it down that route. You also have El Shadal and Oyatayas, the Water Shadal fusion monster, for Shadal strategies to foolish a Shadal and a water monster, such as sending a Shadal Beast and a Nail Shadal Aerial to draw a card and banish 3 cards from your opponent's graveyard. You have Fright for Cruel Whale, which is a pop 1 and will send some Fluffle cards to your graveyard to get that set up. Gagagigo the Powered, which is a vanilla, which makes Torrential Fusion a foolish, so long as you run the original Gagagigo, which is, unfortunately, a vanilla. And last of the current notable fusions that we'll be going over, but certainly not least of the fusions we are going over today, is Level King Ugly Toadfish, a level 10 water reptile fusion monster, which is Xyz or Link Monster 8, which requires any 2 monsters in your possession whose levels add up to 10 or more. This is an extremely powerful Link material, or fusion material requirement, as you can foolish 2 monsters, so long as they have high enough levels. And it's not really that difficult to set up, as making 2 monsters equal level 10 is just a level 4 and a level 6, so I'm sure you can find some graveyard effects on some level 6 or higher monsters. With all these options, this card is an extremely powerful option for water decks who might already be running Torrential Tribute or other board wipes. While it has not seen any play recently, it is certainly something to consider for your next water deck, either as a way to insulate your board wipes from biting you in the back too much, or as a way to protect from your opponents destroying your own cards by destruction or battle. The second card in our set is Chained Down, a normal trap made by, again, Sock, which targets a Link monster on the field, permanently negates its effects, prevents either player from summoning to the zones it points to, and, upon that card leaving the field, the turn you activate Chained Down, draws cards equal to its Link rating. This card is a powerful card against Link-centric strategies such as Code Talker or Salamangreat. If used at the right time, this card can completely shut down a Link strategy, either because the effect of the summoned monster is so important, losing the zones is functionally lethal, or, a la Max C, make your opponent fear letting you draw cards by linking it off again to regain access to their zones. As you will often be drawing anywhere between 2 and 4 cards when they leave the field after you've activated a Chained Down. While this card is extremely powerful, it is also an extremely targeted piece of back row, and is probably only a card to be run in the side deck in a particularly Link-heavy format. Despite this, it might be worth considering, as it can sometimes be just as powerful, if not more powerful, than Dimensional Barrier can be. While it might not be worth running at the time of recording, this is a card to keep in mind should a Link deck ever climb its way to be one of the best decks in the format. Our third card this week is Trops, a normal trap made by Ghostfish and maintained by Kragon, which has an effect which negates the effects of all cards in the columns adjacent to it for the rest of the turn. This card can be used as spot negation, as a sort of inverse broken line, and to disrupt your opponent's major plays. If played into, this card can destroy an entire strategy, or just mess with it enough to make the end board that it ends on significantly worse. The 2 main uses for this card would be placing it in the centermost spell trap zone, so as to shut off Link decks or other decks which need to put monsters in the extra monster zone and get those effects off, or in the non-center middle zones to shut off pendulum strategies or decks that need to put cards in the farthest left, right, or in the centermost zones. This is a powerful card, but much like Broken Line, can often be played around. Despite this, it can be a versatile tool, as once your opponent knows about it, they will have to remember to play around the Caltrops columns, which can, in turn, make them play into an Imperm column, play into a Broken Line, or play into other cards which have similar column-based effects. It's worth giving a try, even if only to make your opponent have to think a little more about what they're doing with their cards, and sneak a free negate or two in there. The fourth and final card this time around is Solar Flare, a normal trap made by, once again, Sock, which reads, destroy all other cards in this card's column. Also, after this chain resolves, negate the effects of those destroyed cards in the graveyard for the rest of the turn. If 2 or more cards are in the same column, you can activate this card from your hand by paying 3,000 life points, hard once per turn. That last line of text is what makes this card so good. Being able to activate it from the hand is a huge advantage on such a card which only affects a single column which it resides in. It offers a similar condition to the previously mentioned Caltrops and similar TCG cards like Broken Line and Infinite Impermanence, and allows similar versatility to Imperm, since it can be activated from the hand and activated turn 0. The main functionality would be to punish players who forget to play around their Mech Knight columns, though you don't actually have to activate the card in the column that has 2 or more cards in it, meaning you could set up a column with your own cards which has 2 or more cards in it to have a functionally free pop and graveyard negate live. While on paper the card seems extremely powerful, it suffers from much the same issues as the aforementioned Mech Knight, wherein once your opponent knows it exists and that you play it, it becomes significantly more difficult to resolve without your own prior setup. The card also suffers from being able to pop your own stuff, meaning your opponent could potentially play around it just by putting their own cards in the same columns as your own card. Regardless, it is an interesting card to consider when picking side deck cards and or hand traps, as well as playing it in decks that enjoy getting their own cards popped, such as Fire King, Unchained, or Nephthys. And with that, that's all for this week's Card of the Week archive. Thank you all so much for watching. Please remember to like the video, subscribe, and let us know what you think of the cards down in the comments below. In the description of this video, you will find a link to our Discord server, where you can find other custom card fans, get help building a deck using these cards, and get help designing cards to maybe get your own card featured in a Card of the Week in the future. With that, we will see you next time.